The coffee had gone cold in my hands, a bitter, motionless pool that reflected the condition of my marriage. Across the kitchen, my wife hummed softly. It was a light, carefree sound, the kind a person makes when they have absolutely nothing to hide or when they've become frighteningly good at pretending they don't. She packed her suitcase with smooth, practiced efficiency. It was the third business trip she had taken that month. Once again, she mentioned the Henderson account, her voice cheerful as she explained why she needed to be away for the entire weekend. I watched her fold a silk blouse, every movement careful and precise, never once meeting my eyes. Our daughter, 7 years old and far too perceptive for her own good, stood in the doorway holding a half-finished drawing. She asked if Mommy was leaving again, her voice carrying that familiar tremble that often came before tears. My wife knelt beside her, offered a hollow, rehearsed smile, and promised to bring back a special souvenir. I didn't say a word. I simply watched the performance, knowing every line by heart while finally seeing the decay hidden beneath the stage. For months, I had been the silent witness to my own replacement. I noticed how her phone was always face down. I noticed the scent of a cologne that wasn't mine. I noticed how her late nights at the office never seemed to result in a single new project. I had two choices. I could confront her and allow myself to be manipulated into doubting my own judgment, or I could become the investigator she never expected me to be. I chose the second option. I waited until she stepped into the shower before checking her iPad. There it was. No Henderson account, just a reservation at the Grandview Plaza, 4 hours away, booked for 2 people. My heart didn't break. It turned to stone. I understood how the legal system worked. Without undeniable public proof, I would simply be another bitter husband fighting a losing battle for custody. I needed evidence that a judge couldn't ignore. I needed the truth to be so obvious that no lawyer could silence it. That's when the plan took shape. Cold, sharp, unforgiving. Friday morning, after my wife left for the airport, I told the kids we were going on a secret adventure. Their excitement pressed heavily against my chest. My daughter spent 2 hours creating a welcome home card covered in pink glitter and hand-drawn hearts. My 5-year-old son packed his favorite dinosaur because he wanted to show his mom how high it could jump. They believed we were about to become part of a wonderful surprise story. I knew I was using them as emotional protection. Still, I convinced myself it was the only way to ensure they stayed with me. The drive was 4 hours of forced smiles and artificial happiness. We arrived at the Grandview Plaza just as the sun dipped below the skyline, turning the glass tower into a shining pillar of gold. I walked to the front desk, carrying a child on each hip, looking every bit like a devoted husband planning a surprise visit. The clerk, charmed by the children's excitement, gave me the room number without hesitation. Room 847. We stood in the hallway. The kids practically vibrated with the kind of happiness that only exists in complete innocence. I pulled out my phone, pressed record, stepped back. Then I told them to knock as hard as they could and shout, "Surprise!" They did. The door opened slowly. The man standing there was younger than me, wearing nothing but a hotel towel and an expression of mild irritation. The moment he looked down, that expression transformed into pure horror as he saw the smiling faces of 2 children. My daughter's voice wavered. "We came to see Mommy," she said, her card slowly drooping in her hands. Then my wife appeared behind him, wrapped in a white robe, her hair still damp. The silence that followed was the loudest thing I have ever heard. I kept the camera steady, capturing every second as her expression shifted from shock to terror and finally to a deep, painful shame. My son began to cry. The dinosaur slipped from his hands and hit the floor. My daughter didn't cry. She simply stared. First at the stranger in the towel, then at her mother, then at me. In that moment, the childhood I had worked so hard to protect was reduced to ashes. I didn't stay for the excuses. I didn't listen to the desperate explanations or frantic pleas. I picked up my son, took my daughter's hand, and walked back toward the elevator. I had the video. I had the hotel records. I had the victory I thought I wanted. But as we sat in a different hotel across town eating lukewarm room service, that victory felt like dust in my hands. My daughter wouldn't look at me. She sat quietly on the edge of the bed, her fingers stained pink from the glitter on the card she eventually tore apart in the lobby. 3 months later, the divorce is nearly finalized. My lawyer calls the hotel video a masterstroke. He says it accelerated the custody hearing and caused her settlement demands to disappear. On paper, I won everything: the house, the children, the future. But real life isn't measured by legal documents. Last night, my daughter came into my room. She looks older now. The brightness in her eyes has been replaced by a tired adult skepticism. She told me she was angry at her mother for lying, but she was also angry at me for the surprise. "You knew," she said quietly, her voice flat. "You knew what was behind that door, and you let us knock anyway." I tried to explain protection. I tried to explain why I believed the truth was necessary. She listened with eyes far older than 7 years. Then she told me something I think about every day. The truth hurt more than the lie ever could. Now I live with that. I am the father who saved his children by breaking something inside them. I am the man who traded their innocence for a legal advantage. Was it the right choice? My attorney says yes. My conscience says nothing at all. I look at the empty space on the refrigerator where the glitter-covered card once hung and realize that some things once shattered can never be put back together. I have my children, but I lost the version of them that believed the world was kind. Perhaps that is the ultimate cost of the truth. It sets you free, but leaves you standing alone among the ruins of the place you once called home. I am a father, a protector, and a ghost in my own house, watching my children grow up far too quickly because I couldn't find a gentler way to tell them that love sometimes is a lie.